Good evening. Welcome to the instant match reaction as Liverpool lose their 24 match unbeaten run away to Spurs. Liverpool looked leggy. Liverpool looked tired, rusty. Some of them, Gene. Um, it was a weird performance. It was a weird night. We just didn't get into gear, and we paid the price. We had a wake up call with that offside goal. Got let off really by inches, and then we got caught again. But there's plenty to do, plenty of work to do. But it's not something that we haven't seen before. We've turned around 3-0 scorelines, 4-0 scorelines. So a 1-0 scoreline shouldn't be a problem at Anfield. But on a night that we've played a strong team, you think we should have come with a better result. But we'll dig into individual performances, because I thought every single time a big profile player has a rubbish performance, we always go and really tackle their performance. And I thought some of the individual performances, I think, need a closer look tonight. But how are you feeling? Frustrated like everyone else?
Yeah, Asim, I think you used the word frustrated. Frustration was flipping. I couldn't believe that performance, if I'm honest with you, Asim. We're up against a defence that's been leaking goals, not really a defence, makeshift left backs, makeshift centre backs. And we just didn't turn up, Asim. There's so many of our players. Again, that's 2 games now against United, and obviously we're going to go into it. Defensively, we didn't look right out. Right, if I'm honest with you, I know Kwanzaa. If I'm honest, I saw his performance in the first half. I thought he's not looking good at all. And then obviously, I don't even know what's wrong with him. If I'm honest with you, I questioned his commitment at that time. I'm not going to sit here and think I think he flipping bottled it. From what I saw, I don't know. There's nothing that's come out. It didn't look like there was a sort of injury. And to be fair, when Endo came on, I thought Endo did okay. Fullbacks wise, Tsimikas, I've noticed his first game back didn't look amazing standard. I thought he got done a few times. Bradley put in a couple of good challenges. I think when he's under pressure, he lost the ball too many times. In the midfields, I thought Jones had a shocker today.
Yeah.
That's 2 games in a row where I'm going to call out Curtis Jones, because I think he just didn't give us anything. There were so many times where I felt he could have released the ball quicker. He didn't see the pass. I know you mentioned it on our channel, on our WhatsApp group. He has to be able to release the ball quicker. And the forward line, Salah didn't turn up. Jota, I thought he was shite. Didn't give us anything. We didn't create, especially in the first. We didn't create enough. I felt as though Spurs wanted it more than us as well. Spurs turned up today where they wanted it more. The likes of Bissouma, you could just tell that they wanted to win today, and they gave everything they got. And to be fair, like you mentioned, we had a wake up call, and we didn't do anything. And yes, we can sit here and criticize the referee and all of that. I can accept that. Yeah, the lad should have been sent off. But I'm sorry, but Ibu Kanate got bullied for that goal against Solanke. Ibu Kanate does not get bullied by a player like that. He's been bullied now a few times, and he got bullied for that goal. Yes, it's a good finish, but I get the referee frustration in terms of the referee. But still, we should not be allowing that goal to take place. But honestly, Asim, I'm gutted. It's a good job as it's a 2-legged affair. My biggest worry isn't the 2-legged affair. My biggest worry is that's 2 shite performances in a row. That's my biggest problem right now.
What do you make it to then? We'll go to the lineup, and if there was any surprises for you. But why do you think we've just had 2 shite performances back to back?
In terms of the lineup, Asim, I looked at the lineup. We had Alisson starting. I expected Tsimikas to start today. I did expect Kwanzaa to start over over Kanate. I expected.
I'm not going to put that up. I'll let you
yeah. I expected Bradley to start. And in terms of the midfield, obviously we knew Soboslai wasn't. Look, he went with his strongest sort of lineup in the front 3. I expected Jota to start. So, to be fair, bar the defensive line, we were pretty strong. I thought Kelleher was going to start, but it was Alisson. And but yeah, look, people will say fatigue, all that type of stuff. I get that. There was times where we felt that we did slightly look leggy. But Asim, you can't turn up to Spurs who leak goals like mad, and For the first 15 minutes of the second half, I put a message in that group. They're
Mm.
bloody Gray and that whatever the hell he's called them, the Gravel, their centre back
Yeah,
called
yeah, yeah.
them two. I didn't even see him, and I was thinking to myself, what the hell's going on? I've not seen him do anything. Then obviously we got a grip of the game for about 15 minutes, but we just simply didn't do enough. We didn't want it enough. I get the fatigue look, but yeah, we talk about fatigue. We're the ones that had the extra game off as him compared to other teams. We're the one that missed out on the Everton game when the other teams played that week.
Mm.
Uh, I thought Maka had a decent sort of game, but Asim, we just didn't. I don't know, man. We didn't want it enough today, man. They
You know,
wanted it.
I saw a graphic. Yeah, I think it was compiled by Simon Brundish, and he's very good with these sort of stats. He put a graphic up today. I don't know if you saw it, Gene. And he sort of captioned it with, "We have a bunch of lads who are playing way more than they used to. It's a risk." And I saw on the graphic, Kelleher, obviously because of Alisson's injury, Trent is already playing more than a 3-season average. Robbo, Shimikas, Kwanzaa, Ibu, Van Dijk, McAllister, Gravenberg is off the scale. I think he's obviously the highest in terms of his 3-season average. Curtis Jones, Sobo is just above average. Mohamed Salah, who plays every week, is still above average. Diaz is above average. Do we look leggy?
We must do. Asim, if you're coming up with stats like that these guys are playing more than they used to playing, then it goes to show. But then you got to look at why isn't the likes of Elliot playing? Then people have mentioned Elliot. Why is he not playing? If you have a player in the squad, they've still said a good time to bring him on. He didn't even bring him on, which I found baffling. If I'm honest, I thought, you know what, we might see Elliot today. Didn't you expect Elliot to come on at some point today, or expected him to start today?
Gina, I'm worried about Harvey Elliott. I like Harvey Elliott. He's a really good kid, and he works his ass off on and off the pitch. He's a good guy to have around the squad. But I think if we're looking, and we've been talking about Kwanzaa, the manager doesn't fancy him. He doesn't fancy Nunes. I think it's quite alarming for the biggest of Harvey Elliott fans tonight that that he doesn't get a game in this sort of fixture. I think I'm worrying now, or no. Well, look, if it means Liverpool win games, I don't really care. But for Harvey Elliott on a personal level, I don't think Arnie Slots trusts him, especially in that role. The way our right-sided midfielder plays, effectively off the ball is a second striker, and you expect you to press and then harass the opposition and get back. I don't think Harvey Elliott can do that in this Arnie Slot system. Does he need to tinker it for Harvey Elliott? I don't think he's that good enough a player to make sure you adjust your system for Harvey Elliott. And I'm worried if he's going to get. I don't know how he's going to get into this team. He's a good player if your teams are, sat back and you're trying to move and inject and quicken the play. He's that sort of player and keep ball around the edge of the box. But especially big pitch like this, he's not that player. And I'm wondering now, Slot has shown he's ruthless in the summer. These sort of players that he doesn't fancy, the likes of Kwanzaa, the likes of Harvey Elliott, are they going to be squad players, or is he going to really show how ruthless he is and replace these guys in the summer? But
It's
that's
not,
my question to you. Do you think he trusts him? Do you think Harvey Elliott will be here after the summer?
I look at this team. I see. Obviously, we're speaking about Elliot. We look at Elliot. You look at probably Darwin Nunes. You look at Kwanzaa. You look at Endo. These are players that Slot doesn't want. If there's at least 4 or 5 squad players that your manager doesn't want, then the only way is you've got to be ruthless and be active in the transfer market. You get rid of these players, get the money that you want, and you move on. If we trust Slot and his way of playing, then the only way is to get rid. There's no other way. I say you have to get rid of these players and bring in reinforcements, players that he actually wants that are going to fit the system. Because the amount of games that these guys are playing right now, it's way too many compared to what they used to, from what you've said. And if there's players in the squad that we believed are good enough, that Slot doesn't like, Slot doesn't want, then we have to get rid. What else are you supposed to do? You're supposed to cash in. and then bring in the players. Will they do that? I don't know. We're gonna have to just wait and see in the January transfer market. But what's plain and clear, and I get a lot of fans' frustrations in terms of our owners, where they won't really go and spend all that sort of thing, because they've shown in the past that they've not really given us the reinforcement when we need them. They've always given it to us when we're actually dead in the water sort of thing. Oh, here's a player now. You're dead. You take a player. It doesn't work like that. We
Mm.
have to be proactive and not reactive. And I know it's a big ask, but it's January now, and we have to go in the market and strengthen this squad, because there's too many players that are simply not good enough for this squad, in terms of if Slot doesn't think are good enough to play the way he wants to play.
I mentioned, I think 20 minutes into the game that, and it sort of justified my opinion when Kwanzaa went off, Gene, that it feels like I'm retweeting something about Liverpool dipping into the market every game. Whether we need a left back, whether we need a centre back, whether we need a cover for Ryan Gravenberg, because I feel like he's going to be running to the ground as well. But Zeb has taken the words out of my mind. Tonight showed we need a centre back, and that is such a massive, massive priority now, because Kwanzaa has gone down. We're told Gomez is going to come after 2 weeks, and we've seen this movie before, haven't we? Where we're out, we've been doing so well, and then we don't have centre backs, and it feels like Van Dijk is the only defender on the pitch and off the pitch at the moment.
And Asim, you look at and it pisses us off. It's been plain that you can see the issues of Liverpool, where the issues lie, when you don't buy anybody in our problem areas in the summer. There's gonna be a time in the season when them areas become a problem, and areas are a problem right now. The left back area is a problem, a centre back area is a problem. We've played Gravenberg that much that we need a midfielder. These were problem areas in the summer. So if you don't go out there and sort these issues out, then we are really going to struggle. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're top of the league. We're really top of the Champions League. We've got so much going for ourselves. Slop has to be backed. So you go into the market and bring in players that are going to fit his system and fit the way he plays. Because like you mentioned, Grav has played every single game, man. Salah practically plays every single game. You bring it. I don't understand how you can have it's all Asim. Look, I know the book lies with the owners, and it should, and it does lie with them. They have to back him right now.
Just a bit of good news regarding Kwanzaa. Slot has just confirmed he wasn't injured; he was ill. So he played. It looks like they risk him. He'd be okay. I don't think any player goes onto the pitch without their blessing as well. He clearly wanted to play, and that's good on him at least. But I don't think he's the only one, with all due respect, that looked ill on that pitch, especially for the first 20 minutes. I'm just going to add Jake. Jake, am I okay to add you? Yeah. I'm just going to add Jake. There he is. Gene, first 25 minutes, Kwanzaa was looking rusty and ill. Bradley wasn't great for the first 20 minutes. Shimikas was awful for the first 20 minutes. And we couldn't get anything, any productive play together. Our build-up was shite. Heavy touches, rubbish passes into midfield. And he was inviting Tottenham into, onto us. But tell me, is that just because they're rusty? I know Kwanzaa was ill, but I thought Shimikas and Bradley for the first 20 minutes were really, really rusty as well.
They were, Asim, especially in the first 2 minutes. Shimikas played that ball, they could have scored. Kwanzaa played that ball, which they lost. We definitely looked rusty. The players didn't look like they were ready. End of the day, look, the one thing with Spurs is they tried to play high, they tried to press the opposition, and we weren't simply ready for them. They wanted it more than us as well, Asim, today. Let's give Spurs a bit of credit. Yes, some of our players were shy. I can accept that. But you sometimes have to give credit to the opposition. They had a plan. They had so many players out. You looked at the amount of players they had out. It's ridiculous the amount of players that they've got. And for them to do a job on us, the way they did it, and keep a clean sheet with the defenders they had, was ridiculous. Yeah. So, look, a lot of it, we're going to there's a lot of question marks on so many of these players. Look, Simika's first game back, proper game back, I get it. It takes a few games to come back. Bradley wasn't great. Bradley under pressure, one thing I will say is, and I mentioned this on the group, when he's under pressure, Asim, and he has to be able to make a pass, he loses it. And he lost the ball at least 4 or 5 times early on, where he tried to make the pass when he gets pressured. When he's not pressured, yes, he can make the ball pass. But when you're playing when you're under pressure, when you're playing against a side that's gonna attack you, the side that's gonna press you, then you have to be good enough to be able to play them balls into midfield, which we weren't. And you've got to give the opposition credit.
Jake, good evening. I don't want to make this into an overreaction, Jake, because we've only lost 1-0, and like I said in my introduction to the show, that we've overturned bigger margins after the first leg. But let's be honest, I think we were rubbish tonight.
Yeah, 100%. We weren't very good, and I agree with what Gene said. They wanted it more than we did, and this is the second match in a row in which the opposition has wanted the match more than we wanted it, and that's disappointing. I've talked about this, a little bit, kind of when things were at its peak as far as how Salah was going. I mentioned, how are things gonna turn out once Salah slows down a little bit. And we saw that a little bit tonight. I'm not saying that everything is on Salah, but once Salah doesn't produce, we need some of these other guys to step up. And
Yeah.
Jota was very poor today. Darwin's been Darwin. Gakpo obviously didn't produce anything as far as any output, and neither did Diaz. And Chiesa doesn't play, so that's a concern that I have. I talked about this before the United game. When Trent's not on the pitch, you can see that he's missing. I know he was really poor against
Yeah.
United. He was far better today in his quick cameo, but when he's not on the pitch, it's noticeable. So there are
Because
some issues, there are some weaknesses that need to be addressed, and the manager's gonna have to fix them.
the thing is, Jake, Gene was touching on it. The fact that we play Kwanzaa, we play Bradley, and we play Shimikas. And I know Robertson doesn't give you much in build up. If anything, Shimikas is a better footballer than Robertson, and many would agree with that. But on the other side, if you've got Bradley and you've got Kwanzaa and you've got heavy touches and you're a bit rusty, at least when you've got a trend, you've got an out ball. And we saw, I think once we had a Gravenberg, we had Bradley give a long switch, and they weren't getting out because we didn't have the switch. What that allows the opposition to do is just squeeze up 5 yards further up the field. And when you don't have Trent, you lose so much in the build-up. The way he switches it over to the wing, the other flank, the way he pings that ball into midfield, whether it's Salah coming inside or even over down the channel, that he gives you so many options. And we shouldn't forget the fact that I know we have made it into a Trent show. Like you say, when he came on, he gives us so much more. Well, my question to you is Kwanzaa. I feel like Israel Kwanzaa is obviously suffering for a massive loss of confidence, Jake. But I feel, just about how you were talking about build-up, he suits Anfield games more than, semi-finals or generally away games. Why I say that is he's good on the ball generally, but I think he's good on the ball when we've got total control, when a team is sat back against us, he carries the ball and he manipulates the ball quite well. But when a team at home is a little more aggressive, I don't think he's got the nous, and definitely at the moment, he doesn't have the confidence to, maneuver that ball, whether it's into midfield or around the defense.
I think that's a fair argument. It makes sense in theory, but there's going to be situations even at home, regardless of the opposition, where if he's on the pitch, where teams are gonna pressure him. So there is no easy solution. Now, I'm not suggesting that it is in a different environment at home versus away. I'm just suggesting that there are going to be situations at home where the opposition are going to press him. And trust me, if you know this about him, then the opposing teams know this about him as well. The situation with Kwanzaa is simple. He's lost his confidence. I've seen a few people suggest that he took himself out of the match just because he's lacking confidence, and I wouldn't doubt that. We looked the better side when Endo was in the game. He was far more calm on the ball. He was far more secure in his actions, whether it was on the ball or defensively. Um, I'm not sure we're going to see Kwanzaa again for quite a while. I'm not sure if the manager now is going to be able to trust him moving forward. So
I
that's
don't know
going.
if you came in. There's a quotation from Slot. He confirmed he wasn't injured. He was ill. I don't know if
I
you
did
knew
see
that.
him do something like this. When he was about to come off, he did something like this. So I knew it wasn't an actual injury, Asim. That's why. I said it
Okay.
wasn't an injury because he was doing something like this. I don't know if it's something to do with his breathing or he was obviously Slots confirmed that he wasn't, wasn't feeling well. And I get that. Look, I don't want to go to town on somebody who's ill. And then because obviously I'm not gonna lie to you. At the time, I thought he bottled it. Jake, I'll be honest. I thought he bottled it, thinking, you know what, he's not having the best of games. He thought, you know what, I can't. I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be able to do it. But
And
if the lad's ill, but if the lad's ill, Jake, we can't
this
really go to town on him here.
this explanation from Slot makes you believe less that he bottled it. That doesn't make
Look,
me
I'm not going to
believe
sit
any
here and
less.
say that, you know what, maybe I'm not going to sit here and say that he didn't bottle it. I mean, meaning that, you know what, he was ill, but he was
What I
shocking before that.
what I'm asking you is, you believe the explanation that Slot is giving you that he's ill? I'm not sure I believe that.
Really?
Jake, we do have a few players in our squad that are ill.
We
Why
So,
do
you
do,
know,
but
you
it's
why
not
don't you believe that, Jake?
because if he's ill, why is he starting the game?
Maybe they thought he can get through it, and maybe he wanted to play himself.
And after 20 minutes, it was that glaring where he couldn't continue on.
We've seen it before, haven't we?
If we all thought that he bottled it while he's on the pitch, and the explanation is now that he's not hurt and that
No,
he's sick,
I don't think he bottled it. I didn't say that.
that's what a lot of people think.
I do.
All that I'm
Before the illness, Asim,
suggesting,
I
Yeah.
genuinely believed he balled it. I genuinely believe that. I mean, when I watched that game today, when
Mm.
he was about to come off, there was no injury. He did do that. To be fair to him,
So you telling
I
me you didn't want
I
to be on the pitch?
I've just felt like it. Asim. I'm not gonna lie. I look. There's people in the comments who agree with us.
there's a lot of people that are suggesting
Okay,
that.
some
All
that
that
he
I'm
didn't bottle
saying
it
is,
behave.
if
Some look, people might not believe this. At the time, it felt like that.
and what I'm telling
Look,
you
some
is,
the people, not the
if
only
you
ones that are saying
initially
this.
thought that he bottled it,
Yeah.
the explanation that the manager is giving you now shouldn't change that opinion. Is all that I'm saying.
No,
Because
no, it should. But Jake, if somebody's ill, and you see him do that when he got injured, when
that
he
that makes me
went
think he
down.
bottled it even more because he's not injured. He probably isn't sick either, and the manager's
No,
back. What
nah,
are the
man,
manager
Jake.
going to say? He bottled it?
No, we can't. How can you say he wasn't sick?
I'm not saying that he wasn't. What I'm saying is, if you initially thought that he bottled it,
Yeah,
and now the manager is telling you that he's not injured, but that he was sick, I don't think, this is my opinion, that if that was your initial line of thinking, that this should change that, is all that I'm saying. You should probably
Jake.
hang on to that opinion.
No, because I'm the opinion is look, end of the day. If I actually saw him do this, saying he must be struggling to breathe, whatever it was, I actually saw him do that,
Okay, so
and
you believe
because I
that he's
even
sick.
mentioned it
That's
as him,
fine.
so I just thought, if Slots come out with it, okay, I'll go with him. I can understand. Look, what did I not say to you in the message? I think he's bottled it. I
You did,
messaged you,
yeah.
didn't I?
That's why I'm challenging you changing that stance.
Only because of if the
Uh,
managers come out, Jake. Sometimes we have to go with what the manager
That's
says.
fair. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I'm not saying that that's not a valid opinion. The manager's telling you one thing. All that I'm saying is, it's possible that the manager is defending the player.
well, the manager's always going to defend a player, isn't he?
That's my point. What is he going to say? If he's not injured, what is he going to say? He bottled it and he's wanted to come off?
Look,
Okay.
no comment.
Exactly.
I want to stick with Harvey Elliott, Jake. I asked the opinion of Gene earlier about Harvey Elliott. A lot of fans, when the predicted lineup went up today, I think give him Ventolin. Some Arsenal fans in the chat. They should. I think haven't they realised that they blamed the ball yesterday? But anyway, swiftly moving on. Swiftly moving on. Jake, Harvey Elliott, are you concerned on a personal level for Harvey Elliott about Arnie Slot and how he gets into this team long term, or
Yeah,
even how he gets into the squad come the summer?
100%. And this isn't a concern that just started now. This has been ongoing since the managers come in. I mean, listen, I'm on record as far as how much I like Harvey as a player. I understand why he doesn't fit into this side right now. And to answer your question, yes, um, there is a massive concern that he doesn't fit under Arnie Slot.
Hmm.
And I saw a lot of people suggesting that they wanted to bring him on somewhere around the maybe 60th minute, 70th minute, somewhere along those lines. And I said in the chat, this isn't the situation where you bring him in. It's a 0-0 match on the road. Sobo's not there. You got Mack and Grav in midfield. You bring in Harvey for Curtis Jones, which I understand. Don't get me wrong. Curtis Jones was awful today, and we'll get into that in a moment. And I've been loud in my critique of Curtis Jones, but even I in this situation didn't want to take him off to bring Harvey on. I didn't think that was the right move. But yes, that's a long-winded way of me telling you there's a very big concern of Harvey Elliott and how he's going to fit into this team and this squad now and moving forward.
Okay. There was a super chat from James Barber. Thank you very much, mate. You can't tell me Harvey Elliott does worse than Jones. Thoughts, Gene?
Well, for the last two games, I don't think he would have done worse than Jones. Look, Jones, I want to be fair on the player. I thought he's had a decent season up until the last two games. The last two games, he's been absolutely abysmal. And there's no sugarcoating this. That's how good he's been. He's just not at the races. He just he doesn't give us anything. And I think finally most of the Liverpool fans and everybody else will realise who Dominic Szoboszlai is and what exactly he gives to this football team. Because there was a time where people were in the same chat giving Dominic Szoboszlai a load of shit. When the truth is, me and you, Asim, we backed him. And we said Dominic Szoboszlai, yes, he might not be great on the ball, but what he gives us off the ball is unprecedented. Now you're actually seeing when you need him the most, he turns up. So that's the simple truth. Jones over the last two games, ask him, what does he actually give you? If you want control from him in that midfield, if you want control, I don't see it. In terms of pressing, we thought, you know what, Jones has actually improved his pressing. His pressing isn't really there either. Right now, when have you seen Jones really press in the front two now? I've hardly seen it.
I think in short spaces, his counter
Maybe okay, fine.
He's not a Szoboszlai where he needs to cover 50 yards or 30 yards and cover ground. He's not that player. But I want to ask you a question, Jake. Do you prefer Curtis Jones on the other side, where he's not a Szoboszlai, because the positions that he's picking up here is edge of the box stuff. Whether we work a triangle and you've got the overlap going, or Salah coming inside behind the fullback and in between the centre back, there are so many times where you want Curtis Jones to play the ball, but it feels like he takes extra 2 seconds to even see the pass. And you kind of sometimes want two McAllisters on either side, on edge of the box. Even that simple pass into Gravenberch, I don't see Curtis Jones playing that, because if he takes it too long, he's offside, and or the pass is he takes too long and the pass has just gone. I feel like in 10, 15 yards deeper into the pitch, where you need to circulate the ball, keep the ball moving, he's that type of player. Edge of the box, I feel like he's not that type of player where you don't mind him taking a risk. But
then why don't you play Harvey Elliott then, Asim? But then why don't you play Harvey Elliott?
The reason why I don't think Harvey Elliott plays is because of his off the ball physicality.
He's been pressing. His pressing starts were really good last season. Harvey Elliott's compared to, even if you compare him to Jones, Harvey Elliott's pressing were really good.
He is, but I think Jones is better in terms of covering ground. He's not great. He's not Szoboszlai, but he's better than Harvey Elliott. So I think Harvey Elliott is more of a player where you play him in more controlled environments. And today wasn't a controlled environment, Gene. We kept losing the ball. We couldn't build up from the back. And Harvey Elliott is not that type of player. So, but I was really, really peed off, if I may say so.
No, I know there was a couple of occasions where he should have released the ball, man. There was once where you could see the ball to Trent was on. He didn't even look.
Yeah, he didn't. I think there's two things where his natural tendencies to hog the ball come into play, and also, let's be honest, he's not a McAllister, is he? That he can just play
his hogging of the ball is pissing me off.
It's a matter of skill. It's a matter of skill level as well. So
I know, but that doesn't mean you hog onto the ball. He hogs onto the ball. He's had this problem for 2 years now. So many of his Liverpool fans have been absolutely belting him, saying, get rid of the ball, release the ball, release the ball. You know you've got a problem. Kara said it perfectly the other week. To be fair, I'm not a big fan of Kara right now, but he said it perfectly. He hongs onto the ball until it becomes arrogance, and that's exactly what it is. You release the ball. You've got caught on the ball twice, then you make sure the next 2 or 3 times you release the ball quicker. He hasn't done that. He didn't even do that today.
I want to come to that goal, Gene, because I think you mentioned it earlier that Ibu, we've seen was at fault for the goal. We've seen Ibu so many times, win duels and this and that. But it's a fine line being really, really, really eager to win the duel. Because Ibu has done this on a few occasions. Look, he's been absolutely brilliant. I still wouldn't change him for the world. But I think he sometimes, at times, when he just hold the ground and see the guy out, let them recycle the ball. It's
It's
just a
happened a
matter of
couple
that.
of times. You're right.
It's a fine line being trying to be too eager to win the ball and being naive. And I thought it was too naive from Igu, where he goes and engages too much, and all you need is a little shove from the striker, which Slank is a big lad, and it just caught us napping. And I think he was fault at the goal for the goal, and that was a massive mistake on Ibu's behalf.
Yeah, 100% everything you've said right now, Sam, I completely agree with. It's not the first time Ibu's got caught like this. There was an occasion earlier in the season where he did exactly the same and got caught. And look, he's come back from an injury. It was a it wasn't like a small one. He's come back. It's gonna we always how many times have we mentioned it on the shows that Ibu generally needs a couple of games to get going, and he's come back. He's United at home. I thought for 60 minutes he was perfect. Then his legs just went. That wasn't his fault. But today he was at fault for that goal, and you can't sugarcoat it. Yes, agree he shouldn't have engaged that much. I know Simicast wasn't on the pitch at that time. He was off injured, getting treatment, and waiting to come on. And I think that's another thing but the thing that pissed me off more than anything is we had the warning. The warning we signed, we'd got previously, and we got away with it when they got their goal, their disallowed goal. So we should have been ready, but you can't really, yet the fault is Evil's fault. What else can you say, man? What did you think of it, Jake?
I don't describe it the same way that Asim does. I agree with what Asim says that we've seen this mistake from Ibu before, and it's not the first time. And I don't want to go too hard on him because he's a fantastic defender. He's one of my favorite players in the team. But the way that I would describe it is when he gets into a duel that turns into a physical battle, literal physicality, muscle on muscle against another striker, that's when he usually falters. That's my impression of what I see from him. He has pace. He's a great dueler when it comes to winning the actual ball. But when there's physicality that's involved and the striker mans up on him 1v1 with just brute strength, he usually loses that battle in a situation like this. So that's how I would describe it. I've seen it from him before. It's bothered me before. You would think that he would learn from this. It's like he just approaches it with a little bit too much finesse, not expecting the other individual to come with just sheer strength, and he loses that situation. But um, my take in general is just if there's a game for us to lose, especially 1-0, and especially for it to break our streak of 24 matches or whatever it is without losing a match, this is the match. This is definitely the one. We have a
Yeah, I get
second
that.
leg at home.
Yeah,
We're down 1-0. It's only halftime, if you will.
yeah,
I'm not concerned one bit.
yeah, 100%. Let's go. I put cheat in the title. Um, what annoyed me is for the second yellow, Jake, is Shimikas wasn't even allowed to be on the pitch because of the rubbish rule, where if it's not given a foul, you can't stay on the pitch. So Liverpool was stung. I felt really badly.
Yeah, that's just, you know, a bad break more than anything else. Listen, if the player gets sent off, then this is my opinion. Of course, not everybody's going to agree with this. If the player gets sent off, then the Spurs fans are going to be the ones that are upset with the referee because then they're going to argue that the first yellow wasn't a yellow, and then the second yellow, which didn't obviously get called a
Mm,
yellow, which was a yellow, should never have been a second yellow. So no matter what would have happened in that scenario, one of these two teams were going to be fairly upset. In my opinion, the first one wasn't a yellow. The second one was the yellow. He shouldn't be sent off because there's only one yellow. I'm okay with how it all unraveled. As I said in the very beginning, we didn't turn up for this match. They wanted the match more than us. They scored a goal before the goal that they actually scored, where he was barely offside. We created almost nothing the entire game. We definitely didn't deserve to win the game. That's 100% certain.
mm.
Maybe at best we deserve to draw 1-0 getting out of here. Of course, I'm not happy with it, but it is what it is, and we take it home and try to recover from there.
Sonny says he's obviously annoyed at the loss, but No, don't think it was that comment. I think it was Damien. He's more concerned about with our form than the result. Are you worried? I don't know if you were in the backstage earlier, Jake. I read a stat where a lot of players are at this current point of the season. They've played a lot more than their 3 season average. The likes of Gravenberg is off the scale. Um, Even Kelleher, Van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, who plays every week, is still above average.
Mohamed
Over,
Salah is above average right now.
yeah, just, but not a lot, but still. And for me, it's a concern. And we're honestly, I think we're one big injury away from where it could really, really harm us. I hope it doesn't happen, but I'm just going by track record where I don't think Ibu stays fit up until from this point of the season to the end of the season. If Gomez is going to be back, and we've seen Gomez come back and take a few weeks just to get into rhythm as well. We've seen, Kwanzaa get ill. There's a massive bug going around, and let's hope they don't catch it. But just joking aside, Jake, we have to invest in January. But you keep telling me that they won't do it. I agree because we know these owners, but I just don't want any fan just comes. Oh, why we asking for signings? But we've seen these problems, and we can see these problems get really, really big, where to the point they derail our season. Liverpool fans in this position, top of the leagues, they don't want anything to harm our season. But I know it's not at that point, but can easily get there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, to answer your original question, there is a concern in form 100%. You can't argue otherwise. I was happy with how we played for 70, 80 minutes, whatever it was, because defensively today, I thought we were better than we have been since Konate's injury. So I was
Mm.
happy from that standpoint. I didn't like how we played as far as how sloppy we were, as far as the lack of chances that we created, but it was an improvement from my perspective defensively, which is what I wanted to see. But yes, our form in general is a little bit concerning. And to answer your question, of course, I would like a signing or two. I do think that we need a signing. I'm not going to sit here and say that we don't. We do. Whether that's in midfield, whether that's at center back, whether that's at left back, you can name them.
Mm.
I'm just saying that I don't think we get one. I'm tired of expecting signings and not getting them. So now I'm just gonna not expect anything and not get them, and I'll be more more okay with that. But that's not going to change my stance. Whether we get signings or not, I still think we're the best team in the country, and that's going to show come the end of the season. But yes, form is not good right now, and it's not far away from being a dire situation. In certain areas.
Gene, give me a yes or no. Are we going to sign someone in January?
Yes, one.
Ooh.
Some dirty player from somewhere.
You should have left it there. You should have left it there.
You wanted how many signings? That's why I just given you, innit?
We're doing a lot of worrying. We're doing a lot of concerning today, Sheen. Are you worried? I know it's a week or so away. Are you worried about the Nottingham Forest game? How physical they are going to be under the lights? It's going to be a cup final for them. A lot of the chat seem to be worried about that game.
I am worried about that game. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. How can you not? They're playing really, really well. It's Forest. They're up for it. They hate us. We hate them. And the crowd will be up for it. Like you mentioned, under the lights, they will. It's definitely their final. You've already heard them singing, bringing them Scouse bastards, the piece of shits. You heard them say that in the, they sang that, whatever in the in the last game sort of thing. So it is worrying, but one thing I've seen from Slot is when we're faced with adversity, he put this team puts a performance, and I think another game, another week with all our players back, they are practically back bar one. That's Gomez. If we can get going on, if we can beat them. I tweeted early in the week that that's our game from Leicester from the 1920 season, and it will feel like that if we turn up to that place and we put up a performance and win that game. That will give this team a massive boost, and that's all it takes. All it takes for us to get us going again. The players will be back, we're ready to go again. But make no mistake, that is going to be one hell of a game.
Yeah, Jake, just extending onto that, it's I think in the next, I don't know, around about 3, 4, yeah, but out of the next 5 games, I think we've got not Forest away, Brentford away, and then later on in February on the 1st, Bournemouth away. I think on the 2nd of Feb, you might decide where Liverpool season is going to go, whether it's a collapse or do we just disappear into the distance.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it doesn't get much easier after that. Also, I know City's a few weeks after that, and
Yeah.
and Newcastle is right after that. So that stretch is definitely going to be important. And I was talking to Chene about the Forest game just the other day, and I wasn't confident going into that game um, before today. Now I'm even a little bit less confident. As he mentioned, that's going to be, you know, a very, very challenging game for a lot of different reasons, and their fans are going to be up for it 100%. So it's a challenge for these players. It's a challenge for this manager. It's a challenge for the club. And if we can somehow get out of there with 3 points and get everything back on track, it'll feel a lot better. But some points lost there, and trust me, it's going to start getting tight. Around these neck of the woods.
A draw or lose against Forest, Asim, and then this is a proper blip. Then we need to find a way out. Um, and there, it's possible they beat us there a couple of years ago, and in last season it was a last minute winner that it took from Darwin to get us the points. So it'll be interesting to see. We have to beat Forest, man. There's no ifs or buts about it. You have to go out there and put up. This team has to put up a performance. We're due a performance because, like the fans have been, people have mentioned, that's 3 wins in 7 now. In the last 7, that's not amazing form. I get a couple of them were draws, and it wasn't. We one game against the Fulham, we played really well, but it is going to be a difficult game.
Yeah. Just quickly, I thought we engineered a bit more control. We looked a lot better on the ball with Endo coming on. He might not give you the physicality in the air and win those sort of deals, but I thought he did really well. And for a player that just keeps going on under the radar with his 5-minute cameos, Jake, I thought he had a good game when he came on.
Yeah, I touched on this a little bit earlier. I said that once he came in for Kwanzaa, he was a massive improvement. He was a better player. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. I've been harsh on Endo, essentially since the moment he arrived here, but give him his credit. In the very limited action he's had this season, he's been okay. Today, I thought he was solid. He was definitely a better option at center back than Kwanzaa.
Mm.
Whether he was sick or not, I have no idea. Let's just assume that he is sick, but you can only base his performance, on what he put on the field, and Kwanzaa wasn't good today. But Endo was good. But the manager, decided to make a change, and maybe that change cost us the match today.
Gene James is 100% right. Tomorrow's headline will be Arnie Slot in January, who has his utmost confidence in Endo at centre back.
I swear,
That's
God,
going to be
if
the
I see
narrative,
someone,
isn't it?
if I see someone like that, that will send me over the edge, man. Honestly, Jake, it's crazy, isn't it, Asim, that we're sat here and Jake sat here saying that, you know what, I'm not expecting any signing. If we get one, that's a bonus. How can a signing be a bonus when the team is crying out for one? I find that absolutely despicable to an extent. You only sign when you have to, when the players are about to die, bring a player in. That's ridiculous, man.
You know what?
Look at Man City. I
We
said, no,
might.
look at Man City. For 115 charges, might get relegated, all that shit going on. Yeah. Yet, they've had a bad 3 months. They go, if you see the link to Marmoush and the other, I can't say his name, yeah. That
That
young centre
UFC
back.
fighter, Abdul
Yeah.
Qadir.
Yeah, him. There's 2 signings that they're going to go in the first couple of weeks of January. They've gone and made a statement because they know this is a problem. These are problem areas. They go and make a statement. Why can't we for once do that, man? Yeah, these owners are taking the piss out of us if they don't bring in a signing in January. Really, Asim, they're actually beginning to take the piss. Not beginning, they've been took the piss over the last years. But okay, we've stayed quiet at times, we've given him shit at times. But come on, this is an unprecedented season where we can actually go and win a lot. If Slot was backed, if there was a few more players, the player are not as tired, we could really go again. We give it the squad a bit of a refresh. Listen to me. I turn into a bloody FSG bashing in a minute if I carry on.
Jake, because we can see what's coming, and
Of
that's our
course we
fear,
can,
isn't
but
it?
it doesn't change anything. We've seen what's coming in every window, whether it's summer or winter, and it doesn't change anything. So, not listen. There's not even talks of us. Not that that makes 100% of a difference or not, but there's not even any talks of us being interested in signing anybody. So, I'm not. I'm not going to sit here and think that we're going to get something done. We know the type of business that we operate. It has to be, an opportunistic signing, something that the club just can't say no to in order for them to get the deal over the line, and
Mm.
that's probably not going to be available right now.
Jake, knowing our owners, we might have to see what Joel Matip is up to these days.
I've seen people asking for him.
There's a super chat from Ash. Thank you very much, brother. Jota and Ibu Fitness might decide our season. Jota needs to fire. We're getting nothing from Darwin, and Ibu got to stay fit. Kwanzaa confidence is shot. Does
I
our
thought Jota was shit though, Asim, man. Jota, what did he do today? Since he's come back, really, what has he actually done? I expect so much more from Jota. I've been one of his biggest fans. He didn't do anything.
He
His
hasn't
link,
done much of anything all season.
it's easy to. It's also. I look. I've gone to town on Darwin during the season at times. Or especially of late. Even though I gave him the benefit of the doubt at the start of the season. Jota got his start. We need a lot more from Jota. A lot more. He needs to be able to do a lot more. What does he
But
do?
do you think he's suffering the same way as Darwin Nunes is suffering? Not as much as Darwin Nunes, because I think Jota is still a better footballer than Darwin Nunes.
That's actually a really good
But it's the
opinion,
same
man.
problem, Cheen, where the only guy who's been doing really well in that, I know it's only been short term, is Diaz, how he's connected play. And is that the requirement for an Arnie Slot striker at the moment? I mentioned the what does Arnie Slot need to do in finding a striker, in combining the connecting play of Diaz, the transition threat of Nunes, and the vertical penetration of Jota. What does he do? The answer is Isaac, and he is the dream signing. But where do you find that Isaac type of player if you're not going to buy
At
Alexander?
Newcastle, you find him
But
at Newcastle.
if you don't sign, if you don't, if you don't sign him, where is that player? And we need a complete profile at the moment. And whether they're around, I don't know. But just coming back on Jota, Jake, he's suffering from the fact that he can't connect play. He needs to live off scraps, get it, and just bulldoze his way through into the area and finish and play on the shoulder. But we're not creating those situations for Darwin. No Jota at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. And I've been talking about this for a little while now. And your explanation is a good one. When we've seen Diaz in that position, with this is what I don't really understand, because when we first put Diaz in that position and he thrived in there against Leverkusen, I said instantaneously, this is the front three moving forward. And this was, I want to say, sometime in October or November. We didn't see that front three again for another month. So the manager wasn't convinced that that was the way moving forward, which was surprising to me. And since then, obviously, we've seen much more of that front three, and they've been banging for the most part, and it's been working. But it hasn't been working when those three aren't on the pitch, as you mentioned. Whether it's Darwin or whether it's Jota, we don't create the same way that we do when it's Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah. So there are some issues in attack, and this is what I was alluding to earlier. Some of these players, some of these other players, we're getting a lot from the Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah, but some of these other players are going to have to step up and start banging if we want to kind of get back on track here.
Gina Teague says they are around. We just have to cough up 80 to 100 million. It's the same old question, isn't it? Are we going to cough up that? But I don't know, man. I don't know what we're going to do. We need something. We need something. And the good thing about the strikers at the moment is they all fit, Gene, because the last thing we do is one goes down.
100%. We can't have, especially the Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah. We cannot have them injured, especially in the next 2 months. If we can get them get through the next 2 months, then it makes sense. Hopefully, look, I know people can might give me some pelters and say what the hell you're on about. Oh, he hasn't even done anything. But I've got high hopes of Chiesa, and I have had since the start of the season. Even though he's not started, I know you're gonna give me shit, Jake. I believe in the lad. I think he will come good in the second half of the season, and I just think he needs to play. Give him a game or two, and I'm just hoping because the quality's there. He just needs to produce it and be fit. And yeah, let's wait and see what happens. I know, Jake, you're laughing at me, like, but yeah, that's Damien's asking where was Chiesa tonight. Honestly, I know that he was on the bench.
caught-
He
he
was on
caught-
the bench. He was on the
he-
bench, wasn't he? I was expecting to see him play today, at some point. I think, but he didn't.
I think he passed the bug on to Kwanzaa. Oh, anyway. Okay, look, I think we've covered more or less anything. That's 50 minutes of post-match reaction. Thanks for watching. Let us know if you're going to watch the show later on. Let us know what you made of Liverpool's performance, and if you think. By the way, I just received something. Apparently, Shimikas was absolutely going skits at the referee when they went inside. I had a guy who's got access, who's part of the Tottenham team, and he was absolutely going crazy at the referee, where he said, where he was just about to fucking break my leg. Shimikas to the referee. But maybe we hear more of that later on. But thanks for watching. It might have seemed a bit of a meltdown, but don't worry. It's all going to be okay. Take care. Good night. And we'll see you soon.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone.